What is up, and welcome to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. If it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself into the chat so you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. That way, maybe you can let me know your name so that I can shout you out. And as tradition goes around here, first thing that I do is to check in the chat to see who are the first of the Camera Junkie crew to have made it here tonight. All right, so we have Ernesto in the house saying hi to me. Happy Saturday. Eating some Zopes and Coke Zero. Nice. Zopes? I don't think that's a Spanish word. I mean, English word. Let me reverse that. So, sopes. And I don't think I've ever had that. So you got me about to Google something in a little bit. You know what? Let me go ahead and see if I can scan this right now. I'll do it in a second. But that, you know what? Let me open up Google over here on the big machine, right? Where do I have a window? Let me open that up. Let me see some images here. Okay, this looks very interesting. It's a Mexican dish. See? Sopes with refried beans and cheese. This looks delicious. This is me scrolling hard out of control real quick, but I just needed to find out this information. Okay, I'm gonna save that. Right, and now that I saved the image, as easy as this, I am able to boop, bring that here into Ecamm to show you what had me thinking about right now. Okay, hold on. There we go. So those are soaps, and this is what I believe Ernesto is eating right now. So good on you. Enjoy. All right, now that we got that out of the way, we also have Parker Jennings in the house saying hello to everyone. Mr. Paul Duncan, Mr. Moderator, in the house. And this had me laugh before I even got on live. It says, got my Narcan ready in case I OD on MCJ. This is a bit of an inside joke because Jeremy actually had me Googling Narcan just like I Googled Zopus right now, or Sopes. That is so funny. All right, we also have Gretchen in the house saying hi to me, myself, and to the crew. And Mark Collins in the house saying hello. Welcome, Mark. I believe this is the first time that you're here, so welcome to the Camera Junkie live stream. My name's Jose. Well, thank you, Jose. Lewis having a scroll moment. I had to, man, because that one was gonna stick to me, like, because I knew I was saying it wrong and then I knew I was getting it wrong. So okay, we have Andy VZ says hola. Okay, so let me try to translate this. This is in Spanish saying hola. ¿Compararías la Insta364 con la versión anterior? ¿Es igual o igual de buena? Basically, the question is basically saying, can you compare the Insta360 X4 compared to its prior version, the X3, and is it like just as good or like better? In this case, it's better because it has higher resolution. I will confirm that a little bit because Mr. Paul Duncan has just purchased the X4. I'm not gonna get it because my still X3 is good and working fine. So I'll just compare the footage as well. Now he also has what is it? The Insta360 Go 3 and the Go 3S module, which is also an increase in resolution for that small module. So Paul is here basically translating as well. Would you buy the Insta364 or is the previous version just as good? So like I was saying, in my case, I'm good with the Insta360 X3, meaning I don't think that for where or for what I'm using the camera for is worth me getting the upgrade at this point. There's not too many features. I was just speaking with someone not too long ago. Oh, well, with the Gold Group, that I just recently upgraded from the iPhone 11 to the 14, and because there was a gap between the models, it showed a lot more improvement than getting it every single year, where you could only see incremental leaps of improvement, so to speak. Excuse me. Mark says, I have 2 units if Jeremy needs a backup. Okay, so it's the second time. Okay, thank you for correcting me, Mark. But once again, welcome. Jim is also in the house saying hello to everyone. And Paul's also saying that longer battery life and a faster processor. But you see, if those are the real big things, right? Then the longer battery life, I kind of don't really need the upgrade for that reason. And it's something that I also, mentioned to Paul, that if you run a USB-C battery bank to it, you can trickle charge the Insta360 360 cameras and basically have them run indefinite. So I have a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, right? That gives me 13 hours of continuous 360 recording, and I use a battery bank. I have a couple. Let me see if I. Yep. Yeah, so saying something like, so this is my Anchor. This is a small battery bank, right? But the one that I usually use is my bigger 100-watt. This is a 26,000. Yeah, see? Let me see if we can get that on camera. 26,800 milliamp hours, which, if I am correct, I believe that is the maximum amount of battery size that you're allowed to have as carry-on. So that's why they limited it to that amount, to not be over the limit. And with that, I was able to power my Insta360, which is funny enough, I kind of missed it, but I even have the sticker on it right there because this is the one that I use for it. So this is my Insta360 external battery bank. That with the 512 gigabyte card is what allows me to record basically all day on it. Now, editing that footage is a whole different monster, but you see, for those reasons, for me, like if I already have it, right, I'm gonna stick with the 3 and there's no need for me to jump to the 4. But if you're looking to purchase it, always get the best that you can for the time being, because of the simple reason that you're just not future proofing yourself, because let's be real, there's no real such thing as future proofing, right? But at the same time, you can have the ability to prolong the next upgrade being necessary, right? Like if it took me a while to jump from the iPhone 11 Pro, is because I put enough hardware specs into my 11 Pro that it lasted me all of these years without the need of upgrading. Right? When you buy the smallest capacity iPhone because you want the latest and greatest that year, you're literally overpaying for the, for the hype and having that technology like in its worst form possible, if that makes any sense. Okay. So Jeremy says, look at that big brain on Paul. That's funny. In my best Samuel L. Jackson publication voice, Paul's laughing as well. John's hanging out here as well, saying hello, hello. Paul is giving us some more information. It says the 4X has a higher resolution, 11K versus 6K, and a wider field of view from 240 degrees versus 200. Also, it's improved low light performance and can shoot 5.7K resolution at 30 frames per second. Now, you see, like if I didn't have the just last year's model, so to speak, I would definitely be more interested in this one. And the thing for me, being honest, and I'm just letting you know as a viewer to see if this is right for you, is the simple fact that it's better in low light. Because I love my Insta360 camera, but if it had like if it lacked somewhere, it was exactly that. Like there where it didn't even have to be like legitimate low light, just indoors, right, having not the brightest light, and it wasn't giving the best image or overall image quality for it. Now it gave some very interesting angles, but it's use case sensitive. So if the 4 really is that much difference, then I would have to see the final product to see if it's really worth me upgrading. But it just depends. It depends on how much can I get for selling this one. You understand? Like if the upgrade path is worth it, then we do it, right? If I can say, hey, you know what, if I can still get like 300 for this one, and then it only cost me like an extra 100 or so. But there's also a couple of other things, and just to, you know, preface this, is that most of the accessories like the cages and things like that are not going to work from the 3 to the 4. So those are things that you would also have to sell and repurchase if you're trying to do this upgrade. But thank you, Paul, for all that information. You even got me thinking, because really the low light performance, if it is that much more improved, then that like supersedes all of the other improvements in my eyes. So Paul says the X4 also has a new feature called flow state, which allows for smoother and more stable footage. I'm not sure, because I don't remember all the terms, if the X3 has anything like that, but oh, he's going in. He says, additionally, the X4 has a longer battery life and can shoot up to 40 minutes with a single charge. Well, that was the whole thing. Yeah, you would get like 30 minutes sometimes, right? Depending on what it was. But once again, go with the battery bank and you wouldn't have any issues as far as battery goes. And be sure to get an appropriately fast memory card, because in my own experience with the Insta360 cameras, if it's not fast enough speed, it's kind of create a traffic jam when you're writing information from the camera to the card. And if there's a bottleneck there, then the card itself will start to overheat, the memory card, and the memory card will reach a temperature where it will no longer function to read or write data for the time being, until it cools off and the whole system shuts down because of the overheating factor of the camera overheating, because it cannot drop the data fast enough. So memory cards and quality memory cards are super important when it comes to these micro devices, right? So invest in the highest grade, best quality memory card, because from my own experience, them overheating stopped most of my footage, and once I found one that was appropriate, it allowed me to create those 13-hour long movies continuously without a problem. All right, Sammy's in the house. Sammy Superstar, he's got a question that says, how are you liking your FX30? I'm not liking it, Sammy. I'm absolutely loving it. Oh my god, this thing is so good. Like, so good. I have it right here, as you can tell. This thing's a monster. I've just started to customize it. you know, here and there. And the function buttons that we have here, actually, let me go my overhead, right? The function buttons that we have here on the top part, right? The iris, white balance, ISO, I've kind of switched them up already, and I have them mostly set up for videography. So I do get the standard, you know, setup here. So if I want to change my zebras, I click to the left, peeking to the right, you know, my shutter angle down towards the bottom. But this allows me to record in log 10-bit, right? So the log 10-bit also has the ability to do the false colors, or basically allows you to apply a LUT in the camera so that you can almost see what the image is going to look like, even though you're recording it in a flat log profile. And this gives me the ability to basically turn on and off all of those features at a click of a button. So let me see if I can turn this on and show you real quick. Oh no, I was using it. I was. And it looks like I left the camera on and the battery is completely dead. Oh no. Let's see. 45%. All right, it went into shutdown mode. Okay, we got something. So if this translate, we can see the colors, right? But if I just click one button, right, I have my white balance. Then right here, the second button, I have the dual base ISO at a click of a button. And that's the game changer, right? The last button up front is the one that I said, like, it goes from LUT on to LUT off. So as you can see right from the back, you can see how it goes flat. Then you see it with the false colors or the LUT applied. Right here, we're looking at our histogram to make sure that, you know, we stay, you know, closer to the right when it comes to exposure, but all this is black, so obviously. And then the last one, which is the dual base ISO. So let's say you wanted to kick it up and you wanted to, you know, push the histogram to the right, then you go to the next native base ISO and it flips on a touch of a button. And I absolutely love that, because let's say you're in that situation where you're going from a high lit situation and you're going from, let's say, outdoors to indoors, or let's say from outdoors and you just want to go to the inside of a vehicle. It might seem like you're still outside, but the shade and the difference in, you know, like the highlights, roll off, and everything that you get off of the cameras from outside to the inside of the vehicle is like night and day. So being able to, you know, drop your ISO, have your, you know, camera set up for the outside environment, and if you were to hop into a car and you need to pump up the ISO, to be able to just click one button and jump to the next native ISO, meaning you're getting the cleanest image possible, but you're boosting the ISO in the best manner possible, allowing you to keep all the footage in the same like temperatures and you know, from your white balance and everything like that, keeping it very easy to mix together in post-production. So just the functionality of everything that I'm getting out of the camera. And then the last thing that I had said was that the menu system is actually super like intense, but at the same time you don't need to go into the depths of the menu if you basically know what you're doing, like, because the first two menus, the easy menus that they got there, give you access to everything that you can do on the camera. And it's just little nuances, right? Like going into the settings and making sure that my shutter actually becomes the on and off recording, right, when it's in video mode. Little things like that with the settings that you just do once with the camera and you're off and running. Last thing is that the log footage, right, the S log footage that you get 10-bit color off of this FX30 is, wow, so nice and so easy. So there's a video that we are making for the Ecamm Creator Camp, and on top of editing this video, I was asked to be part of it. So I used the FX30 to record my section or my part of the video, and I did it in my backyard here, and I was just blown away that I just went into Final Cut Pro, threw the files onto my timeline, and then just dropped the S-Cinetone LUT onto it, and the colors were just like so good right off the bat. I think I just tweaked, in all sincerity, I think I tweaked the tint, not even the white balance. I positive like 12 to 15 on the tint to add some more, you know, like coloration or more magenta into the shot, because Sony sensors tend to push towards the green, and with all the foliage that I was surrounded by, it definitely was casting green. So push the tint to the right just a bit, and that's all I did. And the image, it was just so easy to get such a good image that I was just blown away with the power of this little machine. And I go full frame when it comes to photos and APS-C when it comes to video, and this thing is a power-packed little powerhouse. That's what I think about the FX30. Been using it a lot, even though I've been trying to research, right, and test out this camera that I have here, the Canon R10. So this one, quick overview of my thoughts on this camera. It's a great photography camera. For video, it's not the best because it just has problems overheating. So if you run it for photography first, I think you'll be very pleased with this camera. Oh, look at this. Shouldn't be there. But if you're looking for a camera for video, even as a webcam, I would not recommend this one as of right now, because it just overheats. It overheats and shuts down. Even on the USB-C, when I tried it, I believe last week, the most that I got it to last was an hour. For that, there's no reason. I can give you an example right over here. I did switch up my setup, by the way, and I believe I did put it up here, right? Yes. Oh no, it's using the old information. So let me give you the update. This is actually the A7R2, and this is the A6100. So the lenses are correct. So this is the Tamron lens, but it's the A6100, and this is actually the same Quanta Ray, but it's actually my A7R2. So to go back to this shot, A7R2 with this setup, right? And this older, right? God, it's already like 6-7 year old camera, right? With a dummy battery, is on all the time. I don't even turn it off at all. I turn everything else off and I just leave it on, so that whenever I access Ecamm, whether I'm jumping into a Zoom meeting, I'm hosting a conversation, I'm doing a live stream, or I'm recording something for one of my projects, anything at all, that camera is just on indefinitely. And that's what I would prefer when it comes to creating a setup for like a live stream and video, right? Get a camera that you can just set it and forget it and just leave it on. If I want to turn it off, I can, but it's a bit cumbersome, right? I can just tell Siri, sorry if everyone's phone is blowing up right now, but I could just tell her, right, to shut down all my lights, and my whole setup just go almost like Iron Man. Freaking love it, right? So for that reason, I utilize it, and that's why I would most times just leave my camera on. Just leave it on, so that the next time that I tell it to turn on, we're good to go. And the one less thing that I have to do. Ernesto is saying wow, and I don't remember why. So Paul is saying I'm shifting to the Samsung Pro Ultimate SD cards. If I believe those are the ones that I sent you the link to, right? The Samsung Pro Ultimates. Those were the ones that worked best for me in my use case scenario. Lisa J Stocks. Hi Lisa, welcome to the Camera Junkie live stream. I believe this is your first time, and a pleasure to have you here hanging out. Thanks for taking the time. Sammy's such a great camera, the FX30. I do believe so. Says, love the FX30, but wish it had RAW to have more control. Yeah, but this is the whole thing. I agree with you, right? RAW is great, but then the file sizes are gonna get stupid big, right? Like stupid. So what do? I have it on S-Log, and that's what I was telling you, Sam. The quality that I'm getting out of this, like, yeah, I think is so usable. I think the colors you can push and pull, and you can still throw LUTs and get color grades to your heart's content with the quality of image that you're getting from the log footage. That, you know, if you are exposing your image correctly and shooting in log, then you're good, you're golden, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sammy. I believe the FX30 is a Netflix approved camera, right? Even though it doesn't shoot RAW. Let me know in the chat, Sam. Sam also says, have you seen the V mount with the FX30? You will get like 10 hours plus on the external monitor too. Well, that's coming, sir. That's what we call foreshadowing in the business. And foreshadowing is that, yes, I'm working on kitting out my camera, and I have all of those things lined up. So if you were with me last month, right, for my birthday, where I went through my my birthday wish list, basically everything was set up there, of the cheese plates and everything that I need to get this to where I want it to go. But a 5-inch touchscreen, like high nit brightness monitor, is part of that, and the V mount that the small rig V Pro 99 with all the USB-Cs and DTAP ports, that's also part of it. So that's definitely going to be part of my kit, but it looks like it's going to be more for like middle of next month, because we're already basically at the end of this month. There's the projects that I'm working on already that I need to finish up. One in particular that's taken a bit of a back burner, Ecamm en Español, and I just need to finish those edits more than anything. So with that being said, I also I'm going to be traveling the beginning of next month, which is I'm going to be driving to Georgia, Atlanta, to be part of the Podfest Summit, created and hosted by David Shands. He's got the Sleep is for Suckers podcast, and we're going to be hosting it, or we are one of the sponsors as Ecamm, and I'm going to be representing Ecamm there as well. There's going to be, I believe, 10 to 15 booths all set up with Ecamm, so that if you want to do a recording or go live on the spot, you're going to have access and have a setup there to do so right from the podcast summit. And I'm gonna be within the mix there, mingling, having a lot of fun, but also helping all of the Ecamm fam and new Ecamm members that maybe are going to be testing it out for the first time and using those setups there at Podcast Summit. So look at me, January. I'm already thinking about 2025. No, let's rewind it. July 4th and 5th, Atlanta, Georgia Podcast Summit. You can find more information at podcastsummit.com, and you will find Prince Aiden and yours truly there hanging out, enjoying the festivities, and also helping out with the Ecamm fam. I'm excited. I'm just excited for next week, but so much going on. So then when I get back from Podfest is most likely when I'm going to start kitting out the FX30 with all the extra stuff and start ordering it in-house. Oh, so he said wow to listening to all the new specs of the X4. Yep. So Jeremy says FX30, Final Cut Pro, and Color Finale Pro. See? That combination right there, you will be golden. And you see that's the whole thing. Color Finale Pro, man, that's an underrated tool for those of you who don't know. And if you're looking into getting like into high detailed color grading, then this is something that is basically a one-click or a one-stop shop that will help you out with Final Cut Pro. I believe they also have it for the other Premiere programs, right? But I'm a Final Cut Pro fan over here. You know, Apple sheeples are peoples. Let's go. So when commented, well, yeah, I got that. Okay. Español, vamos, hermano, seguro. Yep, Ecamm in español, or like I said, in Spanglish, right? So we're going to be mixing it up. But I just need to finish those edits, right? But then I have other things. I'm also helping Doc Rock with his new venture of pop filters. So I've been editing his photos, and that's where, for those of you who saw me last week, that's what I was doing there, testing out Affinity Photo, right? And I found the workflow. Right, I was able to use it. I'm gonna be honest, there was times where I was like, I know how to do this exactly and so fast in you know, in Photoshop, right? But I forced myself to find the way as if Photoshop didn't exist, and I was able to find the workaround or the manner or workflow to work with Affinity products. So I'm using Affinity Photo as of right now, and all the photos that are going to be put up for Doc Rock's pop filter, those are going to be would have been done with that program. So we'll see how that works. Oh, Paul corrected me, said there will be 20 pods set up over there at Podfest. Okay, that's cool. Let me get a sip here. Okay, so Sammy says, now other sources say that FX30 is Netflix approved, but it only says the FX3 was approved. Okay. It could be the FX3. That's why I could have, you know, been confused. So, you know, Sammy's saying it might have been because of the new settings, but not so much the new settings. I do believe that the FX3 has other features where it doesn't, that it have not trickled down to the FX30. So we'll see. All right. I totally went on to the chat, and look at that. We've been 35 minutes in and I haven't even been paying attention to today's topic at hand. I almost forgot that we were going to be talking about tips for podcasting, or for live streaming for podcasting. Listen, I'm getting them all mixed up. I'll be upfront with you guys. I ate about an hour before we went live, and it looks like my brain is going into shutdown mode while we're doing this live stream. It's almost like I have the itis in real time, and it's like I'm trying, like, the words are here. The processing unit right now is lagging just a bit, so we will march on. We were going to talk about I'm still stuck on the podcasting, live streaming tips. Oh, okay. Tips for live streaming. Now, I'm going to mention it now. This is episode 186, right? So, yeah, you said it perfectly. Carb meltdown. Actually, it was protein and I had a good barbecue. Pulled pork barbecue, but there was a side of mac and cheese. So I do think that that's what did me in. But I digress. Let's keep it on the rails. Live streams. This is episode 186. So for those of you who don't know, that's 186 consecutive weeks, and that's consecutive without skipping a beat of the Camera Junkie live stream, right? So yep, thank you, Gretchen. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to hit the thumbs up and hit the like button. Is highly appreciated. Now, tips for live streaming. There, once you get to a certain point, is kind of like riding a bike, right? And I'm gonna take you a little bit to the behind the scenes here. Let me close some of these windows down, right? So I can give you a behind the scenes look. I'm gonna give you the live demo mode view of what I see. Okay, that's not the one. This is it. And that should be the button. Perfect. All right, so now you guys are seeing what I see here as far as my interface with Ecamm Live. So one thing that we always talk about when it comes to live streaming is that you're basically going to need a run of show. Now, the run of show is maybe a list or something that is going to keep you from going just anywhere like I've been doing on this live stream, but basically to keep you on track. And the way that I do it is by demonstrating my actual scenes, right? So I have my intro, my first scene, which is my A camera, which is the one that we see here. Now, if we just continue to cycle through the cameras, right, and just continue one through, you will see that it will just go to my next shot, then to my next shot, then to my next shot, right? And these are my 4 camera setups that I have here, which, oops, I also have on my stream deck as my first 4 cameras. So if I were to hit the A1, it will go back to the A, hit B, this is B, C, and then back to that C camera, which is my overhead, so that we can get better information. So what I have set up here, right, in my scenes, if I go back to my main camera, right over here, I have this set up as my run of show. So it's a visual representation of how I want to make my scenes and have them set up. So there's different features that I have in my live stream, one of them being cities go right, channels that I think you should go and watch, and that's a section that I have here as its own scene. I also have another scene that's set up for like for comments. So if I were to click here, I basically have a shrunken down image so that if I were to be reading and want to put up a comment, it's already got its designated spot instead of basically cutting out my face and different things like that. So this is what I do as far as my run of show. But one thing that I wanted to implement was something that Doc Rock actually created. Was he created a scene, excuse me, sorry, I forget that scene, the intro scene, mutes itself. So I'm sorry if there was a cut out in voice. Hopefully my information was still getting across. But what Doc Rock actually did was that he created a scene with all of his key elements and everything that he wants in his show in one scene, including like font styles, names, tags, and different things like that, so that if you were to have a guest and you wanted to do like an interview, you also have the ability to have everything there as far as like easily accessible and replicatable, so to speak, if that's a word, right? Something that you can replicate, because everything within these scenes is as simple as copy and paste from one scene to another. So if you were to just create one scene with all of your essential information, including like font styles, right, different things like that, then you'd be able to create a new scene, go to that one, copy like a name, maybe your own, right, and the font style, color, you know, like look, shading, everything that you just wanted perfectly, hit Command C to copy, then go to your new scene and hit Command V and paste it over, and that way you'll have the easiest thing possible. So it gives you the ability to reproduce or recreate new scenes on the fly because you have all of your essential information at the ready on a basically like information sheet type scene within your setup. So that's something that I want to apply. But that at the same time, what Doc Rock has done, which is a tip that I'm also giving here for live stream, is that for me, my first scene is the end. So that being my first scene is the way that I have it set up. The way Doc Rock has it set up, which is another tip, is that he actually has his checklist. So even before we go online, one thing that you should do is actually have a checklist, whether physical or digital, right, on your computer of what you need to have done and have corrected before you go live. So to prevent audio issues, right, one thing that I always do is I always make sure that I shut down my computer completely and then reboot it and make sure that no applications actually open back up. So I close everything down and have nothing running so that when I go to produce my live stream, I have no hindrances, and basically it's kind of like a flush from the computer's memory. Now, you want to shut down and restart comparative to restarting the computer, because in the restart module, it really doesn't clear the cache memory, which is what you want to have done so that there's basically no hiccups or less probability of hiccups when you're doing your production. So shut it down, give it about 30 seconds, turn it back on, and once it does come back on, don't open up Chrome and don't open up all these other applications that will continue to run in the background if you decide to close even the front facing part of the application, and that will then suck resources for what you're actually trying to do. So shut down the computer, bring it back up to clear everything out before you go live. Now, another tip that could be done, just something that I do. Oh, Aiden is asking for me. Yes, sir. Oh, he's got a mischievous look on his face and he thinks that I don't know what he wants to do. And he's gonna poke me right in the eye. Hey, he thinks he's sneaky. He thinks he's sneaky. I knew what you were doing, buddy. But listen, we got a live stream going on here, okay? So you gotta wait. You gotta wait for me to finish before you can hey, you gotta wait. You gotta wait. Oh man, I love that boy. Okay. Where was I? Man, what a distraction you are. You're distractful. Okay. Ooh, can somebody remind me in the chat what was the last thing that I said before Aiden got to me? Doing the run-up show. Oh, the checklist. I was talking about shutting down the computers before. Oh, what I was going to get into right now. Yep. Hey, Gretchen says, get him, Aiden. Don't encourage him. He does it enough. Okay, but what I was going to say was your mood, right? The mood that you want to have and the energy that you want to bring to the live stream is something that I think is very important. I love doing this live stream and I thank you guys every single week because you make it like such an amazing environment, community that we have and that we're building here, right? That this is just fun to hang out, right? You guys see me do this live and see where I could mess up, but I also have like a lot of things, you know, in place to try to produce the best show possible. And at the same time, your energy, right? Your mood that you bring to it is very important. Now, I've said this to a lot of my friends who also do live streams, right? One of the major things for the consistency, at least for me, being 186 episodes in, well past 3 years of weekly live streams, is that I recognize that not all of them are grand slams, right? There's certain times where I am just extremely tired, and you guys give me that little bit of energy towards the next week, so to speak, like the pick me up, and to be able to hang out and see my crew, see my peoples. So at the same time, recognizing that it allows me for growth and allows me to produce better shows and still strive to keep getting better with each episode. But one of the things that I do, bringing it back to keep that positive energy, is that I listen to comedy. I listen to iHeartRadio's 24-hour comedy channel, right? And I'll listen to, like about a half an hour to an hour before I go live. And it's just to get me in that jovial mood, just to get me in that like more playful, like hanging out, having fun type of energy. And that tends to resonate a lot when you're doing your thing online, when you're doing your thing on camera. So how can I explain this? Yeah, it's exactly that. It's just having that like right vibration, that right mentality to it. Another tip that I'll give to you, part of it, is that I've mentioned this before. Once you hear a joke, right? Like I'm listening to my iHeartRadio comedy channel. Once you hear that one joke that gets you to laugh like almost uncontrollably, right? That one joke that just, it gets that tear in your eye and you're like, God, that was so funny. Then at that point, when you've reached that high resonance of vibration, is where I would tell you to turn off the iHeartRadio comedy hour, because there's certain times where the next comedian's joke doesn't resonate the same way, and now it will bring down that vibration that you kind of work to build up. So another tip that I do is that I listen to comedy to get my spirits up, right? To get my energies up. And once I've reached like that peak resonance, I will then shut it down so that I can maintain that resonance, right? That frequency. And that's the best way that I've experienced that it's worked for me, allowing me to sort of not lose it by hearing a less funny joke, or a joke that might be to your own taste more offensive, right? That you just be like, oh, that wasn't even funny at all. That was just like, rude, so to speak. And some people call that comedy, and I do respect all aspects of it. But for me, I always pay attention to how it works for me. So using these tools to your benefit and not just being subject to anything that's out there. That's why I'm also very big on not listening to the radio when you drive your car, but that's a whole different conversation for another day. Ernesto is here. He's saying happy late Father's Day. Oh, don't worry, bro. I read typo. No. It says I look forward to it every Saturday. So do I, man. So do I. So another thing as far as live streaming goes, tips is that you should just do it, right? Another live streaming tip is that you cannot expect to, kind of touching back on making sure that not every episode or that every live stream that you do is going to be a grand slam, right? There are going to be some sacrifice bunts, so to speak, and you're just going to have to lay those down and march on to the next one. The reason why I say this is because I'm really getting the carb brain right now, because I had a train of thought and I lost the thread. Being 100% upfront with you. Yeah, I was going to say something and I don't remember where I was going with it. So we'll go somewhere else. We'll just continue. But what's another tip as far as live streaming that I can give to everyone? Man, don't eat barbecue before you go live. I gotta tell you guys, this is for real. Like, this is, I'm affected. I've been affected by this really good barbecue, and my brain is not at the top of frequency, but we're close to the hour. I had something else in mind, but I'm just gonna have to let it go. And I guess that's another tip for everyone who's thinking about doing this and might be looking to find something else out. I was saying that you need to, oh, let me see if I find it back. Oh yeah, like, practice makes, not perfect, but makes progress, right? Practice makes progress, because not every single episode that you do of a live stream is going to be a grand slam. And that's what I was going to say. So you have to be okay with just knocking some of these episodes out of the park. I mean, not out of the park, like just out and get them going, because you actually, you can't wait for everything to be perfect before you go live for the first time. I mentioned this before, I think it was with Doc Rock, but let's say hypothetically you had everything perfect and you had an amazing run of show and you produced this perfect production. Where do you go from there, right? If you start at what you consider perfection, then it's all downhill. Yet there's so much learning curve that you actually need to just start so that you can see what your vulnerabilities are, right? What's your weakest link, and then work at that. And once you've done that, then you're going to do a lot better, because it's not about improving 100%, but improving 1% a day. And that's why there's no such thing as perfect, but there's always progress. So practice makes progress. And the more that you practice this, whether you're hanging out with your friends, right? Whether you're doing Zoom calls or a Discord chat, watching a movie together amongst friends, the more that you get on camera behind the microphone to present in whichever way possible, it's only going to help you build the skills, right? The skills that you need to upgrade, ding, and upgrade those skills before any of the other gear, because you can start off doing this with your iPhone and continuity camera, and a basic little wired microphone like the ones that these people hold very close to their mouths in the TikTok videos. So gear is secondary, production and just getting it done is first. So if it's another tip, go out there and just get it done, get it started. I mentioned last week, before we get into it, that I actually started the recordings of my Cities Ga podcast. So that's already like in the works. And I've already realized that the only thing that I was missing for me to start my podcast was for me to start my podcast, because of it now is inherently a part of my workflow, right? All I've done so far is one recording with one person, but I already know that I got that in the books as my Cities Ga, and I've already sent out the invitations to other creators, which I'm going to have the ability and the privilege to record with them. I'm really excited. I've already got some confirmations for those of you in the Camera Junkie crews are getting a little bit of the inside. A future guest is Mr. Josh Satin. That's been part of Cities Ga. Another one is Brandon Washington, B Wash Media. So he's also going to be in Cities Ga. Another one that I got confirmation from. Quite a few that I've sent out my links, right? So many more to come. I believe once I have my first four episodes recorded is when I will hit the green light on the podcast itself. So right now I'm just excited, and the reason why I bring that up is because all I needed to do was send out the first invitation, and the first one was sent out to those of you who know Doc Rock. I sent it out Thursday evening, and Thursday evening Doc already booked his recording for the next day, Friday, and that's all it took. And that's what I want to share with you. Like, that's literally all it took. I sent him the look and say, hey, set the time for your recording. He sent it for the next day. The next day we did the recording, even though we had some things that we forgot that we had to do, so we had to stretch it, and reschedule it, even though we had set it for the next day. But we got it in the books, and we were able to do the recording, and that just allowed me to send out the invitation to the other creators that I wanted on my podcast and just roll with the punches. And I know by the time that I have those recorded, I already have like the cover art, right? The album cover art for the podcast, that's already in the books, right? A lot of those little nuanced things that my mind is already thinking about, like where it's going to be produced. Hint, hint, there most likely is going to be a sponsor. Also, I'm also going to be throwing like a Ecamm, promo in the middle, similar to what Mr. Jared Spink did with his podcast as well. So ideas and different things on how to edit it and go about it. But I'm just like super excited, because the same way that I get excited every single week for this live stream, I have that same enthusiasm for the upcoming podcast. All right, let me see here. Kevin's in the house. He just snuck in saying hello to everyone. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. It said, got barbecue on the brain. I do. It said, need a hit of the Narcan. I think so, brother. It says, brain fog due to cheese talk today plus mac and cheese. I think so. It says, pro tip, don't eat barbecue before the stream. I think that's it, bro. I think that's another pro tip. Don't eat directly before, because if your body requires a nap after you eat, then you might want to give your body a chance to take that nap before you go live. So pro tip, don't eat the good barbecue before we go on. And Jeremy's laughing at that. Okay, Gretchen says, a couple of years ago I did a perfect live photography tutorial, 15 minutes of brilliance, all on mute. You see? Oh, I love that. And Jeremy says he's been there. And Nessa says, do I have a link to the podcast? No, you guys who are here on the live stream got the inside information. I haven't hosted it yet or anything. That's why. So once I have it, the link is going to be right here on this same YouTube channel. So there will be an official link that you can go so that you can subscribe to the podcast if you're going to listen to it via like any of the podcast players, being Spotify, Apple Music, or however you listen to your podcast. That will be available, and I will be using Captivate to host my podcast for all of the RSS feeds, but it's going to be majorly based out of YouTube, because I love this platform and I feel that this is also the best this is the best engine to actually promote the podcast, right? There's a lot of people who have just done the audio podcast, and if you get like 100 listeners, right, you're like almost in the top 10% of all podcasts, right? Because of how sparse their actual numbers are, and there's really no way to discover new podcasts, right? The podcast players are really good for giving you what you've already found, but the discoverability and having someone who has never heard of you find you as a podcast, the best bet is here on YouTube. So you're subscribed to this channel, you are going to be one of the first to hear about the podcast City's Gone, because it's just a spin-off and it will be hosted right here on this same YouTube channel. So that's why I'm letting you guys know, because it's all happening right here. But like I said, if you want to have the ability, it will be available, but you'll be the first ones to know, because it's dropping right here on the Mr. Camera Junkie YouTube channel. Now, we're going to be closing things out in a bit, but just as a reminder, has everyone remembered to hit that like button? Hit that like button. is highly appreciated. And as the spin-off goes, now we're going to talk about Cities Gone, channels that I think you should go and watch. And let me see if I'm able to bring this up here. Boom. Okay, we're going to hit this, and then we hit that. And boom, we're here. All right, so this week's Cities Gone channels that I think you should go and watch is Mr. Brad West. Now, Brad West is another content creator found through the Discord chats and informations of the buddy system, right? In Matthew O'Brien's Discord, right? And this is a group of Final Cut Pro editors and editor friends. And this is Mr. Brad West. This is how I found him. So if you're looking to find a different take or different look on Final Cut Pro editing and tips, then I highly suggest you take a look at Mr. Brad West. He's I like his style, right? And he's got amazing content when it comes to Final Cut Pro. So I'm always learning, always looking to upgrade my own skills. And if you're looking to do the same, then I highly suggest you check out Mr. Brad West, and don't hesitate to subscribe to his channel, as this week's Cities Gone channels that I think you should go and watch. Let me be the first to introduce you to Mr. Brad West. And that's it. And with that being said, we're right at an hour, 11:03. Okay, and we've done it. We've completed it. So let's go ahead. Let's go. That was a bit loud, but we'll work with it. We did it, everyone. This is episode 186. So if you're unfamiliar with the term, this is 186 consecutive episodes of the Camera Junkie live stream without skipping a beat. And I have to thank every single one of you for making it the spot where I want to be week in and week out. This community is so dope, which is why it makes it very easy for me to do this consistently week in and week out. And yeah, if you haven't gotten the drift, you can just mark your calendar, set them up every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from the lovely city of Miami, Florida. You'll be receiving the Camera Junkie live stream, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces as we do it all over again next week, right here, same time, same place. So take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you next time. Talk to you. Barbecue on the brain, and we still got it done. Let's go.